So as you'll see around me, there's a huge collection of old medical books. This has been years of collecting. I have a lot in my house, but I also bring some to my studio. And I find that on one level, they were really important when I wanted to do more, advanced studies where I was doing history papers. And, so you're buying the books because of the content, the ideas inside, the authors, all that kind of thing. What also started to really fascinate me was I was interested in them as objects, as a sculptural material, which was kind of a radical shift. An academic wouldn't usually look at it that way, or when you write a research paper on 19th century surgery, you wouldn't, be looking at the books in that particular way. And then it was really one day I had them all laid out, and especially some of the older books, around the edges of the paper, they were dipped in dye and they were red and pink and yellow. And I started realizing, the body is actually on the outside of the books as well. There's pink that could be muscles, red that could be tissues or blood. I could start to make these into cross-sections of human anatomy, cross-sections of various parts of the body. So I realized I had to start wetting them gently. I started having to look at my collection of transparencies that showed the inside of, a cut off arm, a cut off leg, the interior of the brain, let's say. And I started to realize, okay, I could use white for the bone, I could use the pink for this, and started to really sort of create arrangements with them. Because I was taking this obsolete medical knowledge, which wasn't useful really anymore to anyone, because the medical profession was making so many, and it always is, making so many advances so quickly, that this obsolete making something new, a new conversation. And then I started realizing when I started to do those cross sections that in fact they looked kind of vulnerable. They looked like they were these cut off cross sections of flesh that were freshly from a surgery. And it was then that I started realizing, if that was a body part that had like this wound, or it would need to be bandaged, it would need to be cared for. So then that's when I started to go out to pharmacies and medical supply stores and started again another area of research. Okay, bandages, gauze, cotton, slings, all kinds of braces that you would find you would put a sore knee in, a sore back. And so I started to again buy all this. These became again my paints. These became my sculptural materials, and bringing them all to the studio. How am I going to work with this? And so what you'll see in the wound care series is a lot of them are then these bandaged parts. Then I had to educate myself of, well, how do you actually put a cast on using plaster bandages? What do? I have to go to YouTube. I have to see, nurses very, patiently showing, well, okay, you need this material and you wet it and you overlap it and you do this and you look at first aid manuals. I have a large collection of St. John's Ambulance first aid books, and I started to look at the pages. Okay, you cross, you overlap, you do this. And so I started to do that with these bound paper, let's call them specimens, that I was starting to make, and realizing that it's there's so many endless possibilities within this that would create a really nice series.